Peace. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Keep It Simple, Make It Plain. I'm your host, Brother Nkosi. Today we're going to be talking about a situation that's actually been going on for quite a few years, which is the illegal police chokehold, which often results in the death of the person that's being applied to. Before going any further, I want to make something very, very clear. You should not take this video as an idea to go ahead and assault a police officer. You really shouldn't do that. And this video is not designed to give you that idea that you should assault a police officer. However, if you find yourself in a situation where your only options are to be judged by 12 or carried by 6, then you might want to utilize this technique to save your life. And that's what this technique is for. So I'm going to show a video of the chokehold being applied and basically why the technique I use is, I think, a little bit better geared towards resolving this issue than some of the ones that you might see on YouTube videos. However, I do strongly suggest that you do watch the ones on the YouTube video. I just found that they kind of left out a little something that I think you need to know when dealing with this. And I'll tell you how I came to know about this technique a little bit later. But first, let's go ahead and look at the chokehold being applied.
Matt Scheib is a black belt judo instructor. Turns out there's a lot of ways to choke someone, but really only 2 styles. Cut off the oxygen supply to the lungs, or cut off the blood to the brain. Matt is good enough to demonstrate both on me, starting with the air supply choke. Okay. Well, all right, so that's the restricting the airflow by simply pressing up against the windpipe here. And it cuts off your ability to talk as well as cuts off your ability to breathe.
It's a frog in your throat.
All right. Next step is this is the blood flow one, right?
Okay. And same thing. When you feel it, just tap.
All right. Okay. That one creates a sensation of lightheadedness. You can definitely, you sort of get that tunnel vision thing and much quicker. It is the last choke, that blood supply choke, experts say is the safer of the 2 techniques because it's easier to restore blood flow than it is to get someone breathing again.
Okay. So you notice that he showed 2 different chokeholds. One was cutting off the air, and the other one was cutting off the blood supply. The one we're primarily concerned about is the one that cuts off the air supply, because that's the one that mostly kills people. The other one can cause you to pass out, but that's usually not the issue, people passing out. The problem is asphyxiation. But what I want to point out that other people really don't point out is 2 things. One, you want to try to implement your escape from this position as soon as possible. Okay? As soon as possible. Don't wait until the person gets fully positioned and whatnot and get their full leverage and everything. You only have a couple of seconds. The second thing is, and this is the key thing, as soon as they're there across your neck, you have to move your neck to this part here. So I'm sorry I don't have someone to show you. I apologize for that. Somebody was supposed to come by, but anyway. So you're initially here, they got it across, they're choking you. You try to move your neck from here to this part of the arm, in there, the little area right there. And you try to put your chin down some. So as you move there, this part is no longer being choked here, and you move to that part there and try to have your chin up in that area as much as possible. So you want to leave the choking part as effectively as possible. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is grab to the eyes. The grab to the eyes, more so than a punch to the groin, people's reflectively are going to protect their eyes. Even if it's not that hard, they're going to immediately loosen up that that grasp on you, because their instinct is automatically to protect their eyes. So, and I'll show that a little bit better. Don't really have room with the camera supply and stuff like that in my office here, so I'm just going to kind of give you one. Watch some of the other videos, and you'll see a better idea, because they show the good techniques, and you can go to the groin if you want. Keep in mind at that point, though, the groin, a forceful blow to the groin would definitely be assault. Probably at that point, you're going to be charged with assault anyway. So just understand that, but you're only trying to do this in the gravest extreme, where it's a choice of being judged by 12 or carried by 6, and those are your two options situation. First of all, try to avoid having the police in your life at all. Try to avoid criminal activity. Try to avoid traffic problems. Make sure your car isn't running off order. And if the situation comes where you're about to be told, or you're told, for whatever reason, you're under arrest, you need to just turn around, be cuffed, and go to jail, and then you'll have your, quote, day in court. However you got to that situation, I'm not judging, but if you're in that situation, that's what you need to do. Not try to fight or carry on. And a lot of times you might want to say, well, what am I under arrest for? Why am I being stopped? Why am I being charged? Sometimes the cop may say what you're being stopped for. Most of the time it's like, I'm the white man, I'm the police, nigger, I ain't got to tell you shit. It's kind of what they're more or less thinking, and all it really ends up doing. You'll get your chance to ask and have those questions answered for you, but avoid escalating the situation. That's just, you're going to run into those types of cops. There's really nothing to really do with the cops. It's just that this happens to be a white person who has authority and the backing of the city, the state, local government, and he's just maybe this racist cracker, and that's just your bad luck. And I'm sorry you're in that situation, but fighting and all that really is going to make the situation worse. I mean, how far do you really plan to take that? I mean, that's what you have to ask yourself. Are you just going to be tussling with them? Well, that's not going to really work out for you. So your best bet, keep the police out of your life as much as possible. It's not always possible in the hood, because they patrol the hood a lot. That's where you're a source of revenue for them. Like specifically, like in New York, I don't know if anybody, if you're watching, happen to be from New York, but if you've ever been down to 100 Center Street, you see cops up there with sometimes big briefcases full with cases. I mean, they spend probably more time in court with all kinds of BS arrests, and they got all their records there. I've seen them when I used to live in New York. I could go down to Center Street, 100 Center Street, and see cops sleeping there and getting paid. So, black people end up subsidizing their paychecks probably on maybe 40 hours a week overtime on top of their 40-hour salary. The New York cop makes, I think it's $43,000 to $47,000 a year to start. That goes up to about $87,000 after 5.5 years, which doubling your pay in 5 years is like almost unprecedented in any other job that I know of. And then they can easily make well over $100,000 with overtime. So it's in their interest to arrest you for selling loose cigarettes or whatever. That means the difference between, tuna fish and sandwiches or steak sandwiches, whatever. So keep that in mind, that you are a target, but that has to be resolved with political action and organization and getting power. But for right now, just go ahead along with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show that
work with me and pay attention. Like
technique. So give me a minute to get set up here.
I want to show you can be seen clearly in another video. I mean, in the other videos on how to get out of it. But the part I want to stress is to move your neck from here down to here. And I can't do it too well with my neck, but the point is you want to be in here at the end of the process. So they're here, they got the around your neck. You want to go here. Then from here to the eyes, that loosens them up. Now you may want to, depends on how far you want to go, you can step back, stepping in back of their legs, like you're almost going to sit them on your leg like a ventriloquist dummy. Here, lifting them up and tossing them. And that might be a good time to leave the area, your choice. And you don't have to pick them up and throw them. How high you throw them, again, if you're just trying to protect your life and not really trying to hurt them, either way you're going to be charged with assault, and there's no way around that. But you'll be alive. You'll maybe judged by 12 as opposed to carried by 6. But again, your best bet, if it's a situation where you're just not bum rushed and jumped on and have a time to actually peacefully surrender, that is your best bet. I can't stress that enough. Okay. While we're on the subject, I'm going to throw in a couple other quick things right quick while we're on the subject. So let's just say you're about to be cuffed. Sometimes the rogue officer will try to purposely put the cuffs on too tight to hurt you. Okay, what you can do to prevent that is to let your chi flow. What do I mean by that? Well, when your chi is flowing, you kind of imagine stretching your hand. See how I'm stretching my hand here? Your chi is flowing through like this. And when they put the cuffs on, if you have your chi flowing, the cuffs won't hurt, even if they do put them on tight. But here's the problem. If your chi is not flowing when they put on the cuffs, or you just kind of limp wrist or whatever, they put on the cuffs, you can't get your chi back. Okay, you can't get it back after it's been cut off already. But if you keep it like that, and they put the cuffs on, it won't hurt, even if no matter how tight they put them on. Matter of fact, try this at home. If you have somebody to grab your wrist, just grab your wrist and just have your chi with your chi already flowing, not already cut off, but just see how you can just do like that and how easy it is to pull them around the room. That's your chi that's at work. Okay, so remember that. Keep your hands like this while you're being cuffed, and they put them on tight. It won't hurt you. Second thing that you can do sometime, if you're pinned against the wall, people's natural inclination is to push forward. Not going to happen, especially 2 or 3. But what you can usually do, even with a lot of pressure on you, is slide on the wall. It's hard to stop a person from sliding. So you might be able to slide your black ass on out of there. And jet. Okay. Last thing I want to show you, and again, this is best demonstrated with 5 people. Since I couldn't get one, I damn sure don't have 5 to show you, so kind of use your imagination here, right? 3 people pulling you this way. 2 people pulling you this way, right? Tug of war. People have a tendency to have their energy go all over the place in that situation. They're trying to get away. Instead, learn to, quote, go with the flow. If 3 people are pulling you this way and 2 people are pulling you this way, the strength is going to be with the 3 people. So instead of it being 3 against 1 and 2 against 1, change that 3 to 4 against 2. And how do you do that? You start pulling in the same direction as the ones that's pulling you. In other words, you start going and you pull the other 2 with you. So now you have 4 pulling 2, as opposed to 3 pulling 1 and then 2 pulling the other one. You like that. Pull like that. If the 3 here concede their power and they stop going and they give the power back to the other 2, well, guess what? Now it's 3 pulling 3. You see what I'm saying? You just literally go with the flow. Instead of fighting, you just go with it. And when you're going with it, you pull them with it. That gives more momentum, and you might even break loose and get away. This assumes that you're in a situation where you're literally just being attacked, kind of like a Rodney King style attack. Let's say within that vein type of situation where they're not really trying to perform a lawful arrest. The reason how I learned these techniques were not because I'm some great martial artist or anything. Far from it. We learn these techniques in our course of securing demonstrations. So when we would secure these demonstrations, we always ran the risk of being vamped on by the police. There were many times when you have a demonstration, and they were peaceful demonstrations, and everybody wanted a peaceful demonstration. But there were other times when the police would actually go out of their way to exacerbate a situation. They might have been really pissed at what was being said, and they wanted to start trouble. And so at those times, you might find yourself set upon by 5 or 6 police officers just intent on doing you harm. And it was at those times that those techniques would be employed. Not just because we're just, lawbreakers or anything like that. It was just really to protect ourselves in those types of situations. We learned those from many martial artists who had taught and trained many people during the 60s and 70s. There used to be a very, very symbiotic relationship between the Black liberation struggle and many of the martial arts schools in the Black community, especially like places like New York and Chicago and in places like LA. Very, very strong symbiotic relationship. And they were the ones that often would develop those techniques and train people, and they train security personnel. So that's why I'm passing those techniques on to you. Practice them as best you can. Again, I apologize one last time that I don't have another person here, but just to recap, you want to go from your neck being here to having it in this area to the eyes. I don't advise the groin. You can possibly do both if you like as a distraction, one to the groin, then to the eye. Bam, bam. Step around. Ventriloquist squat with your leg behind them. Pick them up. Toss them on the wall. Slide. Chi being held like that. Okay. And what else? So chi, wall, and the pull. Go with the flow. Now, I did that, by the way, with the go with the flow. You notice it's just a hypothetical tug of war situation, but it can be, when you practice that move, it can be surrounded by several people, right? And you just learn to feel the energy and which way that energy is going predominantly. And you just add your energy to that energy. So it might be a circular situation, but the main thing too is not to panic, because a lot of times that panic, you don't really know what to do. The energy's going all over the place. They got chaotic energy, but you want to zoom in on that energy and go with the flow. Just go with the flow, And if you can get enough of that flow going at the right way, you can book, So, but again, just to recap, avoid confrontations with the police. If you're under arrest, you should go peacefully. You should only use these types of things when you're being unlawfully attacked. Person trying to use an illegal chokehold to murder you, and you don't have any choice other than to be judged by 12 or carried by 6. If you found any of this information useful, please click on the subscribe button. One thing I do ask that people subscribe. I don't ask for no money. Not a dime, not a penny. It don't really cost me much to put up a video. It does take some time and it does take some effort. And by subscribing, you're saying, I appreciate your time, I appreciate your effort, and I understand what you're trying to do, and you mean well. Okay? So, if you can, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. This is Brother Nkosi. Hopefully it made it plain. Hopefully I kept it simple. But in any event, I thank you for joining me. And peace, and you have a good day.